By the way, I've recorded this like 13 times, so now I'm just gonna get it all out there and post it. I'm not gonna like overthink this anymore. Oh, I feel good about this.
It's different, but I don't think it's better. If you haven't been following the updates about this crazy story about therapists doing live therapy on TikTok, and her saying she's not doing it, other therapists saying she is doing it, it's getting deeper and a lot deeper than I ever thought it would go. But it turns out there's even more to the story, and I'm going to share that with you here. After I made that video last couple days ago, actually, a bunch of the TikTok therapists reached out to me, and we kind of got into a conversation, and some of the information that they were finding out kind of came to the surface as the hole got deeper, right? This has been viewed a lot of times. I even retweeted it. You can see it here. I'm going to just read this to you. There's currently a person who is behaving unethically on TikTok. We all know who we're talking about, who was interviewed by the Washington Post. And we're going to get to that Washington Post article in a minute. Who graduated from a program that was falsely advertised that they were K-Crep equivalent when they weren't. Buckle up for this. And you can read, please, if you want to see the whole thing and go into detail, it's I'm at Lyon Mental on Twitter. You can find it. I reposted it there. But as you go through this, Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, which as you go over here and you scroll down, you know, Naropa University, there we go. So we know we're talking about the right thing here, right? Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado has a number of different mental health master's programs. One of the things they advertise is that they are K-Crep equivalent. Now, K-Crep is the national certification or the national standard for mental health counselor education is K-Crep. That's like, you know, like you go to a college, not anybody can just open a school and call it a college and give you a bachelor's degree. You have to follow some national certifications. Well, K-Crep is the national certification for counselor school. Well, it turns out they did not meet that requirement. So K-Crep equivalent requires that a counselor training program is led by a person who's qualified as a LPC, licensed professional counselor. Makes sense, right? If you're going to become a therapist, you need to be taught by someone who's actually practicing in the field. During the time between 2017 and 2018 to 2021, a couple of programs did not meet that requirement. So there's a huge concern that some of these therapists who graduated from this Dora, Colorado university did not receive ethical training from anybody who was even licensed as a counselor. That means that every graduate that program whose chair was not an LPC or eligible to be one graduated from a program that was not K-Crep equivalent. I was faculty there at this time, says Real Doc V, and can attest to the fact that ethics courses weren't taught by licensed people. In one case, an internship faculty supervisor wasn't licensed and asked a licensed person to sign their legal paperwork to cover up. When I became aware of this fact, the department I was in wasn't meeting K-Crep standards, I immediately brought it to leadership. They tried to deflect, but eventually admitted that I was right and that they appreciated my bringing it forward. But they never, to my knowledge, addressed this with Dora, Colorado. The students did not get what they paid for. They were misled by leadership who lacked the skill set to know what was missing. Now, a graduate of that program at this time is out there doing wildly unethical things, and I can't help but see the connection between a grad program that behaves unethically and a graduate who does the same. So there's some real conversation. I mean, now the counselor here that we're talking about is responsible, but it could be due that beginning of this problem that we're seeing now today could have started from a lack of really quality ethical teaching from the college. So just interesting stuff. As we explore this rabbit hole, it goes deeper. So this Twitter post came out, and this was on March 12th. But then 2 days before this, an article came out in the Washington Post. This is the Washington Post. Your therapist on TikTok, will your therapy session end up there too? And two counselors are named in this article. One is Dr. Courtney Tracy, who we all know and love, and she's fantastic. Please do go subscribe to her. She's at The Truth Doctor. But in the same article is Jessa White. And the conversation opens up talking about how there have been many situations where it's like, well, with social media being the new platform and the new way that people are communicating, are people's personal and confidential stories ending up on these TikTok platforms? And to what extent are they allowed to be on these platforms? In previous years, like before the advent of the internet and social media, it was not uncommon for a therapist to write a book about their patients, but they would get consent from their patients to put them in the book, and they would remove any identifying information. They would make up a different name. They wouldn't tell where they lived or how old they were. They would make some of that stuff up to protect confidentiality, but still tell the story for the edification of the general practice, right? So other therapists can see, oh, well, they did it that way. That was really effective. Maybe I can try some of those techniques in my practice. But now that it's kind of like clout chasing on the internet, there's some real questions of, as social media plays an ever more central role in society, therapists have taken to an online space to discuss mental health issues, many of them sharing video vignettes that reenact conversations with clients. Therapists see their foray into social media as a way to help wide swaths of people by sharing coping strategies and destigmatizing mental health in a society with dire mental health concerns, which is the initial and real draw of, talking about this stuff on social media. We're trying to help people, but there's kind of some problems. Now, the APA has come out with some social media guidelines. You can kind of click on it here. Here's the whole PDF, very long, lots of references, 17 pages long, but they did come out with this. However, this was really kind of before the whole TikTok thing, so it doesn't quite address TikTok specifically. Now, here's the part about Jessa. Licensed mental health counselor Jessa White said she hopes her video will help people learn how therapy works. I want to be an account that makes people feel normal, comfortable, and teaches them something about therapy. But the criticism is she's going too far and she's performing therapy online. Now, here's where Dr. Courtney Tracy gets wrapped up into this. She says, I have never made a TikTok based on or inspired by an actual client session, said licensed doctoral therapist Courtney Tracy, who has 1.8 million followers on TikTok, unless its impact was extremely far-reaching. Courtney Tracy has received some real backlash because of this article, because they're juxtaposing. They're putting Jessa White and Courtney Tracy in the same article, just sentences away from each other, kind of almost equating them. And it can be a little bit misleading. Here's where it's kind of making Courtney Tracy sound like she's doing something similar to Jessa, like she's using confidential client information and getting people to sign consents to use confidential information on the internet, which is not what, at least to my understanding, Tracy is doing. Tracy has a social media section in her consent form. It reads in part, we use our social media account to provide psychoeducation to a larger audience and to market our practice. You may follow these accounts and interact with them as you'd like. However, we highly discourage commenting and stating you are a client or doing anything that could be perceived as you disclosing our therapeutic relationship. Her form promises that she will not follow back, interact with clients on social media, and will never disclose any identifiable information about you or your treatment, and never utilize personal situations or disclosures to develop or market our marketing or social content, which is great. And it's a huge boundary that therapists have to really navigate, is like, there's a difference between the therapeutic relationship and then the online relationship. It's got to be very different, and it needs to be that way, because if it's not, things get pretty sticky, right? Tracy said some early TikTok therapists started gathering information in the 2020 to discuss boundaries because some things were happening. 4 nurses in an Atlanta hospital were disciplined and left their jobs in December amid backlash over TikTok content about their icks. I don't know if you remember that one, but that one was kind of bad. They're talking about, and that's the one that I referenced in the previous video about, ooh, it's so icky, they're so needy, and they're trying to give birth, and they want all this stuff, and I just can't stand it. Ugh, not great. And then I don't know if you remember this one. This was another crazy story. SideQuest Therapy literally had her practice canceled, and people were giving her death threats because she was making fun of when a client wants to trauma dump on their first session, which is wildly inappropriate to make. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to dump your trauma on the first session. That's why we have counseling. And she was making fun of people doing that. Another TikToker, if you see this one, therapist fired after calling out Black men for lacking emotional intelligence in a viral TikTok video. You gotta watch out what you're saying for, because some people just pipe off and spout off stuff that is unfounded, rude, and really puts therapists in a bad light. And in a world where we're trying to destigmatize mental health, are stigmatizing therapists and stigmatizing mental health, showing us that you will be greatly judged by some of these therapists when you show up in their office for a session. This one just blew my mind and made me feel super uncomfortable.
So I totally get what you're saying, but let's just try to reframe that a little bit. Say that again, but a little bit differently.
So you're going to gaslight your clients when you zone out? Oops, I wasn't paying attention. It happens to all of us. Sometimes we get tired, sometimes we zone out. And so I'll be like, I'm sorry, I missed the last thing you said. Can we go back over that? Because sometimes ADHD brain, a little bit tired, whatever, but you don't want to gaslight your clients. Like, to think and to give the perception that this is something that therapists do is wildly frustrating for me, because I've spent all my life, and many of these therapists have spent their life trying to destigmatize mental health and make it easier for people to show up in the therapy session, because some really dumb things are being said online. Here's the final criticism. If you go and find Jessa White, don't do anything to her. I'm just giving you details, right? Here's the LinkedIn page. LMHC. In that article on the Washington Post, Dr. Courtney Tracy and Jessa White are put side by side together. Jessa White doesn't even have a full license. She's in her internship part of her counseling program. That article misrepresents her credentials, saying licensed mental health counselor Jessa White. Now listen, I'm not saying she did this on purpose. It was probably Washington Post not doing their due diligence, but it's also kind of her responsibility to correct this. And I don't know if she's reached out. I don't even know if she's aware, but it's another concern, misrepresenting her credentials as if she has more clinical experience than she actually does. Just for those of you who don't know, you go to school and you have your student internship. When you graduate with your master's degree, you have a registered internship. It's 2 years that you have to practice under a supervisor before you can even go and take your state license exam to then be a fully licensed and credentialed mental health counselor. That's what I am, fully licensed mental health counselor and qualified supervisor, which is an added certification. Courtney Tracy is not only licensed and a supervisor, but she has a PhD in this stuff. And they're putting her right next to Jessa White, who is an intern. I went ahead and checked. You can see the license is real. She has an active license, so she's not lying about that. That's good stuff. But it is an associate license. It is not a full license. And that's something interesting to kind of pay attention to. But after all this stuff came out over the last 11 hours, breaking news, put it in the headlines, Jessa has responded, and we're going to look through her response. Now, it's only a TikTok story. So, when I recorded this, it was 11 hours old. Well, it'll probably be gone by the time it is. So I went ahead and screen recorded the whole thing for you. Don't worry, I got you covered. So let's go through it together and let's respond to what she's kind of saying here. Go piece by piece.
Hi everyone. I wanted to give y'all an update on all of my future live events. So
let's pause and read. I will not be taking guests anymore during my live events. I absolutely loved connecting, talking, relating, and demonstrating compassion to the incredible live guests who came on. I've gone through a great deal professionally to be able to hold live events like this. I think she's talking about like going to school to be a therapist. But moving forward, my message of love and support will be better delivered without live guests, which I think is the right move. But the problem is what she says next.
I'm not going to be doing the live guest portion anymore. And also, as stated, I have done so much professionally to be able to conduct these lives in the way that I was. I've met with compliance teams, met with 2 lawyers, my supervisor. I have got reported. I mean, it's been a lot.
She did get reported,
and what's stopping me from doing it now in the future is really about my mission as to why I got on. And I got on TikTok to spread love, spread kindness, demonstrate how approachable therapists are, and be a page that brings light to this sphere. Many of you know this about me.
And here's the frustrating thing. Yes. Of course, we want to make it easy. We want to destigmatize mental health. But there's a difference between making a therapist approachable and just not having a consent form signed. You can't be so approachable that you could just give willy-nilly mental health advice to anybody. It's like giving willy-nilly appendix, removals, right? Appendectomies to anybody who wants one, right? You can't just dole out medication to people on the street because they want to make, medical professionals approachable. There's a level of responsibility here.
By the way, I've recorded this like 13 times, so now I'm just going to get it all out there and post it. I'm not going to overthink this anymore.
Great, because you haven't been overthinking anything.
I'm just going to be me because that's what works.
You can't be anything else, huh?
As many of you know this about me, I was off all social media for 7 years, and then I got onto TikTok. And by getting on here...
I'm not saying anything, but some would say she should have stayed off.
I wanted to be a page that people felt comfortable and safe and loved and cared for when they came onto my page. Because when I was on social media, and what got me off of it was I never was feeling that way. I was always in a space of competition, or why is my life not as great as this person, or why am I not this, or I just didn't feed me. And so I wanted to be a page that lifted people up.
I love that.
And I thought by doing the live portion with the guests that would be like the utmost of lifting up community, because it takes somebody from the community and they're so relatable, and we chat and it's friendly and fun and light and loving, and everyone leaves feeling loved and cared for because they can all relate to that person.
The person you should be relating to is the therapist, not bringing other people in, not putting their life on display in a showcase, because that's dangerous. These are people who are struggling with their mental health, and we have an ethical responsibility to protect them. And my problem with this is an apology video that has no apology in it. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to do the thing that everybody told me to stop doing, but I'm not going to address how I made a mistake or educate the public on why, now that I have information as an intern from people who have doctorates degrees, Dr. Jessica Lee, PhD, Dr. Courtney Tracy, who have all reached out. It's a therapy apology video without the actual apology in it.
And it was, and that's what people saw, the people I spoke with, lawyers and board members. But as a backlash, what's funny is I can actually feel that this is the best video I've taken because it feels real. The other ones I was too, anyways.
I'm feeling something.
Oh, I feel good about this. As a backlash,
that's one of us.
What ended up happening was the comment section stopped being loving and stopped being kind. And therapists were making videos about me instead of reaching out to me directly, which didn't make therapists seem approachable.
Here's my problem with that. That's not true. That's not true. I have read receipts from people who have reached out and how she blocked those people and kicked those people out of the lives. And I didn't see anybody who was calling her names or being mean. I mean, even in my videos, I'm not calling names or being mean. I'm saying there's an ethical problem here that needs to be addressed. I have concerns, and the rest of the mental health community has concerns. And so it's just really problematic for me that we're blaming everybody else and that Jessa is setting herself up as the victim here. I don't think that's accurate.
And then didn't make people feel safe when they were in the comments section because it was
nobody threatened anybody.
Kind of aggro.
Except for maybe
and then it didn't
reporting
make me feel safe because people were putting where I work and what days I work and saying go meet her at her office,
which is how you should do it. You should not do therapy on live. You should go meet somebody at their office. That's not a bad suggestion. That's a great suggestion. Here's the office. Go book an appointment.
This was some 1970s movie, come meet me outside. It was just, it took me off my purpose, which was love, kindness, approachability, positivity, warmth, all of it.
I love that, but there's a huge difference between intention and result, right? You can have like I said in the last video, you can have all the wonderful intentions in the world, but still do incredible harm. This is why we see those big philanthropist YouTubers who get into a lot of controversy. Oh, you went to this town and ruined their financial economy by just donating thousands of dollars to somebody. It collapses the structure, right? If you're just giving mental health advice without doing due diligence, it collapses that person's mental structure. If you're not taking responsibility for these things and just trying to be a nice person, but maybe giving overtly spiritual advice that you think is good, but is actually not ethically responsible, you are destroying the credibility of the practice and of the profession itself. I don't care if you feel good about it. There are certain rules that need to be followed.
It wasn't in there. So yeah, I'm adjusting, and no more live guests.
Great. Accountability would be good though.
That's okay. What do I want to say here?
I don't know what you're saying already.
Actually, I think I've already said it, and that's why I don't need anything else to say. I
said something.
Very confident in this decision to take this portion out, and
yeah, I bet, because 15 therapists reached out to you, says it's a bad idea.
Once you take out the thing that people are hating on, are they still gonna hate? Maybe that was a good way to end.
Ooh, but see, now the therapists are the bad guys. Are we still going to hate? We're still going to be critical. If being critical and trying to improve the profession is hate, then I'm a big hater, I suppose.
I don't know. I have a feeling people are still going to hate.
Yeah, if that's what we're calling it. Here's kind of what people are saying. One of the most amazing and talented TikTok therapist, Jessica Lee, PhD, made this on Instagram. And so I'll just let her kind of speak about the situation and talk about ethics for just a moment.
Over the past couple weeks, you have probably seen a number of videos, stitches, and comments from licensed mental health professionals voicing their concerns about unethical, problematic, and potentially harmful behavior of a certain therapist on this app. Now, this therapist is not the first, nor will be the last therapist on social media engaged.
Definitely hasn't been the first. This is a continuing problem on social media. Ooh, not great.
In concerning behaviors, but that is not the point of this video. Because of the conversation around this, I have also seen so many comments from non-mental health professionals questioning why so many mental health professionals are spending their time, energy, and effort calling out the problematic and unethical behavior. Comments
Guilty.
like, "Why do you care so much? Stop bullying this individual. She has helped me a lot." Or if she was doing something unethical, wouldn't the board be taking care of it? So I'm here to tell you why so many licensed mental health.
See, licensed mental health counselors are a self-policing body, right? We keep each other accountable. So it's not like, you know, like if you were breaking the speed limit, the person next to you in the car next to you is not going to tattletale on you that you're breaking the speed limit. But that's how it works for counselors, because how can a lay person keep a counselor accountable? Because they're not familiar with all the ethics and rules and the regulations around counseling. It's up to other counselors to keep it accountable and to report that to the board.
Health professionals are voicing their concerns about this. And simply put, it's because it's our ethical duty to do so.
Bingo.
I'm a licensed psychologist, and this is the part of our ethics code with regard to reporting ethical violations. As you can see here, the first step is an informal resolution, where if we believe another psychologist is engaging in an ethical violation, we are first to address it or bring it to the attention of that individual.
100%.
Then, if an informal resolution does not work and the ethical violation is not resolved, we then go to the board. This is the Counseling Code of Ethics, and they have a very similar process, as do social workers. So on social media, because we're not sharing an office space with another therapist that we engage with, an informal resolution may look like DMs, email, comments, or videos if the other attempts to resolve the ethical violation did not work. It's only after those attempts fail that we would make a report to the board. It's also important to note that when a report gets made to the board, it usually does not get addressed right away. Depending on how many reports the board gets, it could take months for that report to be reviewed and addressed. If that ethical violation is not reviewed by the board for months, imagine how much more harm can be done in that time span.
That's the concern.
All of that to say, I hope this clarifies why there are so many people being vocal about concerns of ethical violations being committed on social media.
Absolutely. That's part of our job, is advocacy for those people getting counseling and seeking counseling. So after this kind of came out, I think that's a great little recap of what's been going on and how us therapists have been addressing it. Some information came out on a Twitter post, official Colin Kaepernick stand page. I don't know why it's called that. Real Doc V. By the way, please do go follow Jessica Lee, PhD. Fantastic therapist, TikTok and Instagram. So there you go. There's the update on the T of mental health with Jessa, Therapy Jessa on TikTok. Let me know what you think. Again, it's just opinions, right? I'm just sharing the facts. This is the ethics. This is what's going on. It's up to you to make the decision what you think about it. So let me know. Let's have a conversation down in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to hit subscribe so we can talk about more stuff, spread the awareness, spread the mental health, and get the conversation going and keep the consumer safe when it comes to mental health counseling. Until next time, bye.